Vanderbilt, an 8-point favorite in Hawaii. Pete, let's go Pete, Reese, Bill.
So fascinating game in a lot of ways. Two programs that have undergone a lot of change. Vanderbilt's overhauling the roster under Clark Lee. Timmy Chang is back on the sideline at Hawaii. We do not know who Hawaii's quarterback is going to be yet. It has not been announced, but it's assumed the incumbent is going to start. But they do have a transfer from Washington State who's in the mix there. I have found over the years Hawaii to be one of the more difficult teams to pick, because of all the travel vagaries that go with them. When in doubt, I have learned to pick Hawaii at home. You rarely get disappointed when you pick Hawaii at home. And Vanderbilt has a long way to go. They feel like they're better. They feel like the first class is in place, but there's just a lot of variables when you travel that far. I think Vanderbilt left I can't say yesterday because we're taping here. Vanderbilt left early in the week on about Tuesday to go out and get settled for this. So I am going to, these are both programs that need an injection of life. Clark Lee brought that early. Timmy Chang has brought that in the wake of Todd Graham and just sort of the spiral that program was in. I'm going to take the feel-good rainbow pick here.
From my years in the college football studio on Saturdays with my friend Mark May, whose jersey graces the wall above me, we would stay up college football final until the final game was completed on the day. And on myriad occasions, when the final game of the evening was in Hawaii, if the game was close late, and I would never accuse anyone donning a striped shirt of outright malfeasance, intentional malfeasance. But I will say this: if the game is close late, there is an extraordinarily high chance that a crucial call will go against you if you are not from those islands. An extraordinarily high chance. And because of that, though Vanderbilt should be better, and probably even in its current state, a more talented roster. And when you also consider Vanderbilt's long and storied history under a variety of coaches of absolute early season face plants, I will take Hawaii and the points and feel like there's a decent chance in the first game of the Timmy Chang era to pull the upset. But I will definitely take Hawaii in the points. And if it is close, Vandy, if you can put it away early, you'd better, because if it's close late, there's going to be trouble.
So do you know Timmy Chang's dad was an official? His dad was a referee. No, that's a true story. And when he was hot, that was very early in my career. That was sort of like the feature I've been doing on Timmy Chang, is that his dad was a referee. So I'm not insinuating anything, but I'm just accentuating your point.
I would not be stunned if Timmy's entire family were calling the game. And now I can wait on the call from Steve Shaw, the director of officials, in 3, 2. It's a joke, Steve.
Now, do these rules apply if they're not playing at Aloha Stadium? That's kind of what I want to know here. We're at the Clarence T.C. Ching complex for the next couple of years, I guess.
Which sounds like the soccer stadium, right?
Yeah. So you've now left me in a horrible situation where, technically following the rules, I have to pick Vanderbilt. I will say, in my return in production formula that I use, it's part of the SP Plus projections. It's kind of, in theory, it's supposed to be kind of an upgraded returning starters figure where, the percentage of passing yards returning matters more than the percentage of rushing yards and this and that. And it's kind of weighted for what generally applies to improvement and regression. There have been, since 2014, that's as far back as I have data, there have been 2 teams that returned to under 30% of their production in that time. Just a really low number. It was 2015 Kansas, which I believe was coming off of Charlie Weiss. They had gone 3-9. They ranked 102nd in SP Plus. They returned something like 25% of their production the next year, and they fell to 0-12 and 123rd. 2017 Air Force returned 27% of their production. They always deal with a lot of turnover, but this was a lot of turnover, and they went from 10-3 and 53rd in SP Plus to 5-7 and 88th. Hawaii returns 27%. Nevada returns 22%. Actually, it's kind of dire for a couple of those Mountain West programs. Wyoming's really low too. So I do feel like, Hawaii's going to need officials on their side, perhaps, because it's going to be a tough year for them otherwise. And my numbers still, taking all that into account, still project Vanderbilt to only win by 5.5 points.
Oh no, Vandy. Oh no.
Because Vanderbilt is projected 108th overall. You have to believe in some sort of second year leap to really push that program forward, because there's no evidence of just a whole lot of success there. You've pinned me into a corner where I'm supposed to take Vanderbilt, and I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make this pick unanimous, and I'm going to challenge them to defy it, because that's how low their numbers are.
And we'll be delighted if they do, and we'll be delighted for Hawaii if they win too. We have no rooting interest other than winning the stake.
Absolutely.
All right.
Next up, we've got the fighting Bert Belimas minus 11 against Wyoming. Let's go Bill, Pete, Reese.
Well, okay, but first, you doubled down. On an earlier podcast, I mentioned that we affectionately refer to Brett as Bert because of the spelling of his name, but you doubled down. You not only called him Bert, you mispronounced his last name too. Why would you?
I'm a simple man, Reese. I just told you I can't handle that much. Reading things out loud, you're putting a lot on my plate over here.
All right. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I like Illinois' defense. I will start with that. It might struggle to hit last year's heights. They did lose a lot in both the linebacking core and secondary, but Ryan Walters did just kind of some miraculous stuff with that defense last year, making it really tough. He loves man coverage, and I just didn't think he had the guys to play as much man coverage as he wants, but he kind of pulled it off. They are an official Big Ten West program in that they play defense and just kind of accidentally score points sometimes. So I like what they're bringing to the table in this matchup, because Wyoming's extremely inexperienced, like I was saying. This is you kind of make an assumption about playing Wyoming at this point, and that it's going to probably be low scoring. It's not going to be any fun at all. It's going to be extremely physical. But I don't think they have enough firepower currently to actually win this game. And I think, my numbers say like Illinois by 11.8. It's going to be right there at the line, so I don't get really any advantage from that. But I feel like this is a game like that Illinois can win in like the 28-14 range and cover.
I promise I'm not going to agree with Bill all the time. So culture-wise, I like where Wyoming is. I feel like they've built it to the point where they're like a little Mountain Westy North Dakota State. They're not going to win that much, but they are going to hit you. They're going to they've had like a run at middle linebacker there where guys have gotten drafted. Like, they are sort of a tough, nasty program, and you got to give Craig Bull credit for establishing it. That said, when you have transfers who leave for Texas, their best receiver, Oklahoma, UCLA, two of their best corners, running back, their best maybe player other than the receiver, goes to Arizona State, a defensive end who goes to Northwestern, a defensive end who goes to USC. Like, when you have that kind of exodus, I'm not going to pick you on the road against a Big Ten team, because if this is like a Wyoming team with a bunch of juniors and seniors, like, heck, I might pick you to upset them. But when you are at that Mountain West Group of 5 level, those caliber players who are draftable players are like precious gemstones. And it feels to me like this Wyoming offseason, they lost all their precious gemstones.
Yes.
For Illinois, I'm fascinated by Tommy DeVito. Now, again, we don't have biases here, but we're all from somewhere, right? So we're going to pay more attention to others. Tommy DeVito. I live in Boston. I went to Syracuse. I've worked in the Northeast, lived in the Northeast, making me the one college football fan in this region of the country, right? Tommy DeVito is from New Jersey. He was an Elite 11 quarterback, and he went to Syracuse. He was Dino Babers' first marquee recruit, probably the biggest recruit since he got there. And it did not work out for Tommy DeVito at Syracuse, in part because the year after they won 10 games, which I think was 17, he got slaughtered like I've never seen a quarterback get slaughtered. It was a jailbreak every week. He was the most sacked quarterback in the country. There were a lot of people in that program who believed Tommy DeVito had the talent. Then, if you get hit that much, you get the yips. You don't blame the kid for that. You blame the scheme for that. And so there's a lot of people in that program who really believe Tommy DeVito has NFL talent and he has high-end talent, and was not in a position because of that scheme to show it. And so again, we get enamored. If you're a 5-star, you get, and he wasn't quite a 5-star, but if you're a 4-star, 5-star, you get the benefit of a doubt for a long time. So in the back of my mind, when I hear about his arm talent, and I remember some of the downfield throws he threw in relief of Dungy that 10-win season, I'm really curious to see what Barry Lunney can do with Tommy DeVito. Now, I don't think they've announced him as the starter yet. But anyway, that's one of my rabbit holes. All 3 Illinois quarterbacks on scholarship are from New Jersey.
Yep.
Art Sitkowski, Tommy DeVito, and Devin Leary's little brother, Donovan Leary, is the incoming freshman. They do have a walk-on who's in the mix there too, who's not from New Jersey. That is bizarre. That is odd. And that is the type of useless information you can count on me for on this podcast.
And DeVito and Sitkowski could be part of the Nkosi Perry game that you would play, still playing, not still playing, or sort of like the Tommy Hodson thing from back in the day of LSU, who was at LSU for about 10 years. I'm not going to beat it to death. I agree with everything you guys have said. I love on the Superdog segment on College Game Day. I love picking brown mustard because I'm a fan of Bull and the play, but just too many dudes lost. Second year with Bielema, good running game, good backs. I think I'll take Illinois to cover that game. Wide open. Big Ten West. I would be surprised if Illinois is in the mix for that at the end, but wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. If they did. They do have to go to Michigan, I think, later on, just simply because I think everybody in that division is pretty good, and I think that we'll find out just what level of pretty good Illinois is after their first 2-3 games.
Yeah, I do have a problem with Illinois, playing a Big Ten West style, but I don't trust them to do it as well as I trust Wisconsin to do it and Iowa to do it and probably Minnesota to do it at this point. The big burly man ball thing, I'm going to trust the teams. I feel like Illinois should have zigged when everybody else was zagging in this case, but they do it.
Bring back Juice Williams.
That got Burt fired at Arkansas.
That's true.
I mean, fair point, right?
Yeah,
very fair point.
I mean, so I think he should stick to what he does. Okay, this is going to make everybody mad, and I don't want to go off our picks too far. I'm not in on Wisconsin, and I'm not in on Iowa's offense, and that's why I'm picking Minnesota to win that division. Minnesota's going to win that division playing the Big Ten championship game. Now, it's not going to go well for them once they get there, but I think during the regular season that they can have a
they did play the Buckeyes pretty salty last year. That opened Thursday.
They did. Yeah. Ibrahim had like 160 yards and not quite 3 quarters before he got hurt. But I'm going to go with Minnesota, and short of that, I'd probably go with Nebraska, who I know we're going to talk about.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.